Ashe! Greetings! A grand day, a grand rising, a grand and a beautiful day to you all once again. My fellow natural native earthly humans, and welcome to this part 8 of another perspective, analysis, and interpretation of the very famous prose poem called Desiderata by the late Max Ehrmann. Now you don't know that it is yours truly, I, the Mystic P, along with, of course, this, my companion, yes, my old bass guitar. If you no longer have this guitar. And as you may listen carefully, you will hear in the background, of course, my chirping bird sounds. They're also my inspirations. They're right here, chirping and echoing the melodious, natural, healing, comforting, and therapeutic sounds right here in the background, in the foreground, and all around. Yours truly, I, the Mystic P. And just to quickly remind you, my listeners and watchers, that if you haven't yet watched this series, watch from part 1 to this now, part 8, part 7 to part 7, I would suggest that you do so that you can get more out of even this presentation here, part 8, because I'm running them, it's like writing a book. You have the beginning and you have the end. So by listening or watching, I think you'll get much more out of it. And they are designed also to provoke you to think, to see, to interpret things. Because my interpretation and my perspective are might not be necessarily yours, or we might not see eye to eye. But I just saw the thing said. So in part 7, the last episode, if you will, or a presentation, I gave you my interpretation and my perspective of what I, the Mystic Philosopher, think Max Ehrmann, in his prose poem, yes, Desiderata, meant by the word noise, or at the very least, how I, the Mystic P, see it. So in this part 8, I will continue to share with you what my interpretations and insight and perspectives are on the word haste. Yes, so haste. And just to remind you, in the beginning, the word I asked you to focus on the word go, and I still ask that you do. The first stanza, it started out by saying, go placidly amid the noise and haste. I've dealt with the word go. You don't know what in the mid. I dealt with the word amidst, and I've now completed the word noise. I share my perspective on those word noise. I haven't yet touched placidly as yet, but now I'm going to talk about haste, and you will see why I haven't. Later on, as you continue to listen, you will see why I haven't talked about. I skip over the word placidly, but I'll get right back to it. How can we miss that word? So haste. What is haste? What is meant by haste? What is Max Ehrmann talking about here in the poem? Haste, the prose poem Haste. Or how do I, the Mystic Philosopher, interpret that? First, let us look at the meaning and definition of the word haste. Again, this is not my language, so if I want to communicate with you, we want to have an understanding, a common understanding, overstanding of what the word means and is defined as. So the word haste is defined as excessive speed or urgency of movement or of actions or action. It means hurry. Haste means in a hurry. And according to the Collins English Dictionary online, and I quote, haste is the quality of doing something quickly. Like I'm talking here now, right? Sometimes too quickly, so that you are careless and make mistakes. Yes, That is haste, according to the Collins Dictionary online. And to that point, my late mom would say two things. I quote these two things. She would say these two things. One, quote, bird fly too fast, always past their nest. And she would also say, haste makes waste. Unquote. As my late mom would say that. And I, the Mystic P, interpret that to mean that if we are always in a haste, then you or we are nothing but a waste. Haste make waste. And you or we will end up a waste if we are always in a haste, which is also another word for garbage. Yeah, think about it. Haste make waste. For those of you, my listeners, who have watched or listened my previous talks, you will no doubt remember me quoting the late and very famous Greek philosopher called Plato, who is alleged to have said, and I quote, the unexamined life is not worth living, unquote. So if you check yourself and check the life you are living, and you'll find that everything that you are doing, you are always in a haste, you are always so-called short of time or short on time, then that is enough evidence to prove to yourself that you are living a life of waste. And what is done to waste? AKA garbage, which is another name for waste. Garbage. What we do to garbage, or what is done to it. Or if you prefer, what do we do with all of our waste or all of our garbage? They enter the dump, or we either dump it or burn it. Our garbage is being dumped or burnt. In other words, a real and practical waste man or real and practical waste woman is a person who is always in a haste. And for your information, it does not matter what rank, status, or position you or we may hold in life. If the evidence shows that everything you are doing or everything that we are doing, you're always in a haste or you're always in a haste or in a hurry doing it, then you just prove to yourself that you are a waste man or a waste woman. And above all, you will end up a waste. A very few years ago, I wrote a song called Everybody is in a Rush, in which I highlighted the fact that from my observation, everybody is in a rush to get to nowhere. Everybody is in a rush and they are all going nowhere. For example, my observation and experiences have shown me that people, and especially those in the in those of us here in the Western world, and the so-called developed societies and modern world, are always in a rush, are always in a haste, are always in a hurry. They are always in a rush, a haste, or hurry to eat their meals. They are in such a rush to eat their meals that they are, let me include myself, we don't and can't even afford the time to properly chew our food, our meal. My late mom would say, we just cut and swallow. Bite and swallow, if you will. Cut and swallow. Now, here is a quote from one website that I visited. According to the experts, and I quote, according to the experts at Ohio State University, you should chew softer foods 5 to 10 times, and more dense foods, meaning like meats and vegetables, up to 30 times before swallowing. Unquote. But today, and especially here in the Western world, as mentioned before, because we are in such a rush, such a haste, going nowhere, We just cut and swallow our foods. And I've seen people, including myself, I might add, just swallow food without even cutting, let alone chewing. Sometimes we just feed and swallow. In fact, some are in such haste that they don't even have time, or they can't even afford themselves the time to prepare their own meals, let alone properly cook and full joy their own meals. I have even seen, and I've also known people who have some of the most luxurious homes with some, if not all of the latest high-tech conveniences and amenities that money can buy. Example, the latest high-tech stoves, the latest high-tech refrigerators, blenders, juicers, and utensils, you name it or you name them, but they have them, but they never utilize them. They call utensils, but they never utilize them. They don't use them. They are just there in their fancy kitchens as decorations. And for sure. And why? Because they are just too busy and in a rush, in a haste, going nowhere, aka going to the dump. They are moving so fast that they can't even afford to eat at fast food restaurants and fast food shops. They are moving so fast that even their food or their meals have to be grown fast or manufactured fast, prepared fast, cooked fast, deliver fast, or pick up fast, consume fast, and dispose of very fast. Well, sometimes inconstipated, so them can dispose of it that fast. That's why sometimes them gut becomes full of it. They are in a rush to use the washroom. They are in a rush, in a haste to go and have fun. Can you imagine? They are in a rush to go to funerals, sometimes even to their own funerals they are in a rush to go to. They are in a rush to live, they are in a rush to go to church, they are in a rush to, or in a hurry, or in a haste to go pray and worship their gods. They are in a rush to find a job, they are in a rush to go to work, they are in a rush. When they are in a rush when spending what is supposed to be quality time with their spouses or loved ones. They are in a rush to get rich, to get successful. They are in a rush, wealthy they're in a haste to get wealthy and famous. They are in a rush or in a haste to fall in love. They are in a rush to make love, aka to have sex, aka quickly. You name it. And the evidence will show, and the evidence has shown that they are in a rush to do it, or while doing it, they are in a rush. In other words, the world is one of haste. Now, on the subject of lovemaking, or if you prefer having sex, I can remember when I was a young man learning the skills and the practice, aka the art and science of lovemaking. The sisters would tell us that they don't want a man come deal with them hastily or in a rush, slam, bam, and gone. They didn't want a hooligan or a man on the run, but instead they needed a gentleman that would treat them gently. In fact, during the 1980s and 1981 to be exact, there was a female group called the Pointer Sisters, and one of their most popular songs was called Slow Hand. And the lyrics goes like this: I want a man with a slow hand. I want a lover with an easy touch. I want somebody who will spend some time, not come and go in a heated rush. I want somebody who will understand when it comes to love. I want a slow hand. Unquote. No, coincident or not, but driving home from the gym just a few minutes ago, I still have on my gym clothes. I heard a song by a young Jamaican female artist called Shensia, playing on a local radio station. And the name of the song is Hit and Run. And the chorus goes like this, and I quote, you think you think you could have get in my feelings, or you think you could get in my feeling. I'm translating. Nah, you couldn't get me to settle down. Meaning you couldn't get her to settle down. That's what most young people in my time, young ladies would be dreaming of. Settle down. Me give you a hit and run. Me give you a hit and run. Move. Me did only one little dealings. Yeah. Love you did I look. You must see dumb. Must see dumb. You give you me give you a hit and run. Me give you a hit and run. Unquote. So hit and run. Not slow hands anymore. Not patience and gentleness anymore. Hit and run. And here we see that Desiderata is describing the world to which she, Max Ehrmann daughter, must venture into as one of noise and haste. So now you understand what noise and haste is, at least from my perspective. However, as dismal as it may sound, as daunting as it appears, and as dangerous as it is, he did not just highlighting these facts and these harsh realities of the world to her in order to drive fear and doubt into her, in order to ruin her confidence or to convince her that she will fail even though she gets even before she gets started. But he gave her the blueprint, the formula, as a guide, as a comforter, etc., for her to follow. He prepared her well before he let her go amid the noise and haste. Now, this is the end. I know I run over time. Please forgive me. But this is the end of part 8. So please join me again tomorrow for part 9. If I'm gifted with another day, and one in which I continue to experience and full joy, good health, freedom, safety, and good relationships with people like you, all my listeners and well-wishers, when and where I will continue to share with you some of my perspective, some more of my perspective analysis, insights, and interpretations of Desiderata, aka another perspective and interpretation of Desiderata by yours truly, I, the Mystic Philosopher. In the meantime and between time, I ask that you continue to think and meditate some more on the word go. And lively up yourself and full joy. Be more and much, much more. And definitely not less. For I am the Mystic Philosopher. Ashe, Ashe, I say.